Working Class Beer Reviews is looking at Hamm's. Hamm's beer is a Miller product now. Um, was at one time a Pabst product in 1999. Pabst made a deal with Miller to contract brew a lot of their beers and sold a lot of their breweries to Miller and to other companies, and then sold some of the brands that they owned to Miller. Hamm's was one of those. Looking here at the Wikipedia page for Hamm's, it was established in 1865 by Theodore Hamm, a German immigrant, which is the same story for a lot of these American breweries. They all started with German immigrants. And it was in St. Paul, Minnesota. So that's the beginning point of this beer. I can't say for sure that the recipe has been the same. It's around 4.7%, 4.5, something like that. It's probably on par with Miller High Life, I'm guessing, in strength, maybe even PBR. We see a lot of these pint cans for sale where I'm at. I bought this, a 6-pack of this was around $4.99, which is not bad for pint cans. You'll hear me say this a lot in my reviews that this is my favorite configuration for beer. The pint can, I feel like it's the best serving. You're getting a full amount. And usually they're better priced anymore than the 12-ounce 6-packs of any brand. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this a little crack. I like to church key my cans. I feel like it gives a better pour. Not completely necessary, but try it. See what you think. I'm going to use this Stroh's Pilsner glass, I guess you'd call it, a lager glass. This is given to me by a friend of my wife and I's. Her name is Lana, originally from Mankato, Minnesota. That's how she always said it. And she saw this. I asked her to pick me up some Stroh's when she's up north. She couldn't find any for some reason or another. I'm wondering if she just forgot, but she saw these at a flea market and bought me the glasses. So thank you, Lana. So we're going to go ahead and give this a pour, give it a nice aggressive pour. Kind of cool thing with these type of glasses, you get a good strong head retention on there. A little dim in here. Stark white, very, very bubbly. Lots of carbonation up in here. There's nothing wrong with a good strong pour. This is all going to turn back into beer. You're going to see this. I'm probably going to repeat this a lot until, I feel like I don't need to say it anymore. Good amount of lacing on the glass. That's a very characteristic Miller. If you pour Miller Lite or Miller High Life into a glass, you'll see that they actually have a good amount of lacing. Sticks to the glass there, which is pretty neat because some companies, their beers don't do that. A lot of bubbles sticking to the side, and I don't know, this may be etched at the bottom, I'm not really sure. There's a lot of bubbles sticking to the bottom and they keep rising up, so that tells me that there might be a little bit of etching at the bottom of the glass just to give it that effect. Pretty neat little piece of stemware. So I'm gonna that's starting to recede fairly quick. I'm gonna top it off a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice. Stops right there. That's about as picturesque as you're going to get for an American lager. Really tight, uniform bubbles. There's a few irregular ones in there, but most macro beers are very uniform in their, consistency. That's what they aim for. They want it to be the same every time. So, kind of moussey on top. Very much like Miller High Life. It reminds me a lot of Miller High Life or PBR. I would say this is probably, the IBUs on stuff like this is around 12. They're not going to be real hoppy. Some of these old legacy beers tend to be a little hoppier, stronger in flavor, a little more character than your mainstream ones. So if you find a Schlitz, PBR, Hamm's, Stroh's, maybe even Schaefer. A lot of these I haven't tried. I've tried Schlitz, PBR, Hamm's, obviously, Budweiser, Miller High Life, Coors. Um, they tend to be a little bit stronger than some of the other ones, obviously more so than light. They do make a light version of Hamm's. I've seen it. I've never tried it. I'm not much of a light beer drinker. I'm not opposed, but let's give it a smell. It's very faint, very light. But that's a good thing also about the head. That's where a lot of the aroma and the flavor is at. You'll get a lot of aroma from the head while it's still there, more so than the actual beer itself. Very, very light amount of hops. It's barely noticeable. I'm sure they use corn syrup, the dextrose syrup that is most commonly used with a lot of brewers these days. I know there's been a huge controversy over that, but that's just because a lot of the public just didn't realize that that was a thing. So they're just trying to stir the pot, so to speak. But everybody's been using it for so long. So it smells like a standard American lager. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, it definitely has a fuller flavor than some of your mainstream lagers. Um, I've seen these in 30 packs of cans, 12-ounce cans, and then obviously the 6 packs of the pint cans. Around $5 is what I'll see for those pint cans. 30 packs I've seen as cheap as $15, like $14.99. Anywhere up from there to like $18, $19, depending where you buy it. Some places may get better deals from their distributors. I know you didn't see it for the longest time, and then I think when Miller Coors did their little joint merger, Molson Coors and Miller, after SAB got bought out by InBev, I think that's what happened. So all their imports and foreign brands were bought out, and Miller in itself was sold to Molson Coors. I think that's how it works. And Miller had the rights to this, Old English 800 and Mickey's, maybe a few other brands that Pabst had sold to them. And I know there's a big controversy over whether they're still going to brew Pabst or not. I don't know what the outcome of that has been, but they've been pushing this a lot as their economy brand. Probably alongside with PBR. Essentially, that's what you'll see it side by side with. So let's take another. Let me top it off real quick. I mean, it's pretty, especially if you've never been one to pour your beer into a glass just to try to give it a different experience. Try it. Go to your flea markets, thrift stores, garage sales, yard sales, and if you see some neat beer glasses, buy them. Get them, polish them up, get them nice and clean. If you want to keep them in the freezer, that's fine. This one was not. This one came out of the cupboard. I do have some mugs in the freezer. They're handy. But it really does change the experience of drinking beer when you pour it into a glass. I'm not saying that I don't ever drink beer out of a can or a bottle. I do. I still do when I'm outside working on the yard or whatever. If I just get home from work and I just want to just cool off and relax and enjoy a beer. But if I want to actually experience a beer, it's nice to have a variety of, you can have glasses like these. You can have your pint glasses that you get from your local bar, different types of English pub glasses, IPA, tulip glasses. Brandy snifters are really good. Actually, brandy snifters are really good for your strong, high gravity lagers like Steel Reserve and Hurricane, stuff like that. You'd be really surprised. And I hope to do a review on some of those here soon. So anyway, one more. Yeah, it's just so middle of the road, so standard, so what they call round. It's not offensive, it's not skunky, it's not gross. It tastes like a lot of your other American beers. So, if you're tight on your budget and you want to, spend a little less, if you want to show up at some friend's house and get a little laugh because they're like, man, where'd that come from? It's like bringing in a dinosaur. Or you bring it to your grandpa, your uncle, your great uncle. And they're like, oh, I remember drinking that when I was, younger. Or I remember, I could only find that when I went up to Wisconsin or Minnesota, but now we're finding it everywhere. So yeah, it's very enjoyable. It can stand toe to toe with the rest of them. Honestly, if you're a Pabst drinker, if you're a High Life drinker, you know, maybe you could probably taste the difference if you're more of a Budweiser drinker, maybe Coors Original. I can't hold myself to that because I guess I'd have to do a blind taste test. If you really want to know about all those, watch Ronald Terrio of Louisiana Beer Reviews. He does a lot of those, and he's honest. I mean, he'll fully admit if he got it wrong. He marks his glasses and sits there and swishes them around. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to take it a step further, you'd have to have a second party come here and mix them for you while you're completely blindfolded. You don't even get to see them poured or anything. That'd be the next best thing. So anyway, yeah, very enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's like a plus or anything like that. I think it's for everyday beer, a B is just right. That's where you want it to be. A plus beers. I'm not saying that there aren't American beers that aren't A plus. That does happen, but it's hard to distinguish this from any other beer. So I guess that makes it a B. So it is good. It's very good. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, you want to probably, if you're worried about freshness, you can check your dates, and a can, not such a big deal. But anyway, you know, an enjoyable legacy beer from the 1800s. You know, how long are these going to last? What if it goes away because people don't drink it? So you buying it might be able to keep it around. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later.